Critical Role Recap Season 2, Episode 27. So this week's episode was actually pretty uneventful for the most part. There was no combat whatsoever. So if that's not your thing, then it's definitely skippable from that perspective. However, there was a new character introduced with a guest star, Somali Montano, played a druid Furbolg that is part of a clan that we had met one of the members of in the previous episode, who she's just kind of, they live out in the forest and take care of nature around them. Somali's Furbolg is named Nila, and Nila is also trying to track down the Iron Shepherds because they have stolen her 5-year-old son. And it seems they've also taken her partner. She doesn't really have much experience in the outside world at all, and she's not exactly a person prone to violence in the past, but she says that she's ready to snap some faces off as a crocodile, bring down lightning bolts on these people that stole her family. They met Nila shortly after burying Molly and taking some of his things. They did take his sword that allows the user to blink around the battlefield a bit. They also took the amulet that he had, the one that's supposed to prevent you from bleeding out completely. And they took the gold off of him as well. It was like 170 gold. After some conversation, they decided to just bury Molly and leave a marker there. They thought maybe it's possible he'll just dig his way out of the grave again like he had done previously. And then they spoke with Ashley Birch's character Keg, who is going to continue to guest star for at least the next couple of episodes, I believe, and maybe further into the future from there too. We're not sure. And basically they all decided, okay, we're still going to track down the Iron Shepherds, and Keg is going to help them. Not confronted Keg about the fact that Keg kind of froze up and didn't really do anything in battle. And Keg said that she had done so previously before, just kind of ran away when her friend was killed, and she's going to do her best to not do that again. So the Mighty Nein is now down to just Bo, Caleb, and Not, together with their newly recruited Furbolg druid Nila, as well as their dwarven fighter Keg. They set off on their way and eventually make it out of the Empire and into the Shady Creek Run area, which is the first time that many of these people have been outside the Empire, is their first foray into rather lawless lands. They grease a few palms on the way in and do manage to sneak in under disguise, so hopefully the Iron Shepherds should not be aware of the fact that they followed them. They make their way into the city proper, which is sort of like built into the forest itself. Like the forest is a part of the city and the city is a part of the forest. The forest seems to have some sort of corruption or curse or something on it. Plants are balancing between death and life, sort of. It's kind of strange and wasn't really explained all that well, and they don't really know much about it yet. They made their way through the town with Keg's guidance and ended up finding a brothel that they decided to spend the night at and ask some questions. The following morning, they were greeted by a different front desk attendant who, for some unknown reason, decided to help them out and give them a little bit of advice, which was that they should listen carefully when talking with the Mardoons, because they were still, the Mighty Nein are still on their quest from the gentleman to go seek out and aid Ophelia Mardoon and then eventually bring her back to the gentleman. And they think, well, maybe these things will coincide. Maybe the Mardoons, maybe Ophelia is looking to deal with the Iron Shepherds, and so kind of two birds, one stone thing. So they're told to pay attention, and then he gives them some directions on how to get there. So they go meet up with Ophelia Mardoon, and luck would have it that indeed she was looking to deal with the Iron Shepherds in her own way. So they now have even more reason to confront and deal with the Iron Shepherds, as if rescuing 3 of their party members wasn't reason enough. Ophelia seems rather sinister and mysterious, and she basically just tells them to go kill the Iron Shepherds and make sure that it can't be traced back to her. So she can aid in greasing some palms, she said, to try and help out a little bit, but isn't really providing much help at all. So they make their way straight from the Mardoons eastward through the forest to go check out this camp of the Iron Shepherds. On the way, they come across 2 giant bony bear things, but they manage to sneak by. So there's no, like I said, there's no combat whatsoever in this episode. They sneak by successfully and make their way to the camp. There, they use Frumpkin, who is still in owl form, to scout out the camp briefly, and then they send Nila, who is who's a druid, so she can shift into animal forms. She turns into a mouse, and they drop her off via Frumpkin's talons, and she goes and scouts out the inside of the main building in this camp. She finds 2 of the Iron Shepherds, the halfling rogue and the human barbarian woman, eating in the mess hall, manages to find the trap door that leads down to where the people are kept. And she also goes up and scouts out. She basically scouts out the whole building and finds out that 2 of the Iron Shepherds plus Lorenzo are there at this time. She just barely manages to sneak by Lorenzo on his way up the stairs and her way down them as a mouse. Manages to successfully get out of the place. Once again, no combat without being seen. So they now have a pretty detailed idea of what the inside of the fortress looks like, and they also know who is there at this time, as well as the location of where the prisoners are kept. She makes it back out and tells everyone what she found, and the Mighty Nein then decide to attempt to sneak around the area and see if there are any hidden entrances, exits that they could utilize. When they begin to do so, Keg immediately rolls a natural 1 in her dwarven plate armor form, crashes around like a bunch of pots and pans, and alerts one of the guards. So they all immediately decide to just take off and get out of there. And that's where they end the episode. So basically, they've scouted out the location. They've got this loose plan to try and pick off some of the Iron Shepherds one at a time at night using stealth maneuvers and guerrilla tactics. And that's where we're going to pick up next episode. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Not a ton happened this episode. They did finally speak with Ophelia. Ophelia told them to go deal with the Iron Shepherds, and then they scouted out the Iron Shepherds stronghold hideout situation and are formulating a loose plan to try and deal with them. That's about it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.